You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening. Glad to be back with you this Wednesday. Let's see, before we get rolling, coming up next, after me, Jesse's POV right here on KLRN Radio, and then your nightcap an hour or 2 hours after that would be America Off the Rails with Rowdy Rick Robinson. So do yourself a favor and stay tuned. Okay, we got a bunch of stuff to go through tonight, but as usual, we're going to start with what else is going on in the world that we're not going to go into depth on. Of course, the U.S.-North Korea meeting, Trump threatening that he'll scrap it if it won't produce results, but it looks like the North and the South of Korea might be coming together here finally. Time will tell. More work to be done for sure. It's not just going to happen overnight, but anyway, that's going on. We have some death to talk about. Of course, we lost the American treasure, Barbara Bush, former First Lady. Very sad to see her pass. Good to know she was at home, comfortable and surrounded by her family. For those of you that are inclined to know, Wrestling Hall of Famer Bruno Sammartino also passed away. And also Harry Anderson of Night Court fame and the movie It. Yeah, Harry Anderson passed away also. Very sad, very sad. See, what else is going on here? Another day, another flight making an emergency landing. This time a Delta plane makes an emergency landing after smoke pours from its engines. Of course, we had the tragic loss of life yesterday with the Southwest airline flight that had to make an emergency landing. The preliminary NTSB report says it looks like maybe metal fatigue in the engine that caused it to start breaking apart, and the shrapnel from that engine is what ripped the plane open. Preliminary. So, we got all that going on, of course. Let's see. We got a new poll. Americans love polls so much. This one says that Hillary Clinton's popularity has plummeted since the election. And if we can get it to queue up here, if it'll show me the numbers. Oh, come on with the ads already. Okay, let's see. Only 27% had a very or somewhat positive view of the former Secretary of State in this latest poll, which is down from 35% in August of 17, which was down from 40% to the poll before that, and 53% a week before the election. So you can definitely see a downward spiral in the popularity of Hillary Clinton. It's no wonder. She's proved herself to be nothing but a headache, and she just needs to go away quietly. Now, I want to touch on Monday a little bit. Monday, for most of the country, was just Monday, but Monday is also Patriots Day. The third Monday of April is designated as Patriots Day, and the greater Boston area takes it pretty much as a holiday. It's the weekend of the running of the Boston Marathon, and we have a lot to. First of all, let's go over. We'll congratulate the marathon winners real quick. Women's wheelchair division, Tatiana McFadden, 2 hours 4 minutes 39 seconds. That's pretty decent. Men's wheelchair, Marcel Hogg, 1 hour 46 minutes 26 seconds. You talk about cooking it in a wheelchair. That's 26.2 miles. All right, the women's overall, Desiree Linden of the United States, 2 hours 39 minutes 54 seconds, the first American woman to win since 1985. Congratulations, Desiree Linden. Men's overall winner, Yuki Kawauchi of Japan, 2 hours, 15 minutes, 58 seconds. And these guys are flying. Now, I have always wanted to run, especially the Boston Marathon, if I was going to do a marathon, but I just don't see myself coming in anywhere around 2 hours. I'm thinking closer to 4, maybe 3.5. But anyway, and also part of Patriots Day, it just wouldn't be complete if we didn't do a reading of Paul Revere's Ride, the poem by William Wadsworth Longfellow. So we're going to take a couple minutes. We're going to play this, and it's important that we do this. It's important that we remember what this is about, and basically Patriots Day commemorates the battles of Lexington and Concord, which were the beginning of the Revolutionary War against Britain. So it's important not just for the Boston area, it's important for the whole country. So do yourself a favor. Kids in Boston and adults in Boston, you probably remember having to learn this in school. I don't know if you had to do the whole thing or just the first couple of verses, but I'm sure that you did this. So anyway, Rick, go ahead and cue it up, and let's take a couple minutes and listen to this.
Paul Revere's Ride, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere on the 18th of April in 75. Hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, "If the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower as a signal light. 1 if by land and 2 if by sea. And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm for the country folk to be up and to arm." Then he said good night, and with muffled oar, silently rowed to the Charlestown shore. Just as the moon rose over the bay, where swinging wide at her moorings lay the Somerset, the British man of war. A phantom ship, with each mast and spar across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hulk that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile, his friend through alley and street wanders and watches with eager ears, till in the silence around him hears the muster of men at the barrack door, the sound of arms and the tramp of feet and the measured tread of the grenadiers marching down to their boats on the shore. Then he climbed the tower of the Old North Church. By the wooden stairs with stealthy tread to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from their perch on the sombre rafters that round him made masses and moving shapes of shade. By the trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, where he paused to listen and look down a moment on the roofs of the town and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath in the churchyard lay the dead in their night encampment in the hill, wrapped in silence so deep and still that he could hear, like a sentinel's tread, the watchful night wind as it went creeping along from tent to tent and seeming to whisper, "All is well." A moment only he feels the spell of the place and the hour and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead, for suddenly all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away. where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred with a heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse's side, now he gazed at the landscape far and near, then impetuous stamped the earth, and turned and tightened his saddle's girth. But mostly he watched with eager search the belfry tower of the old North Church, as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely and spectral and somber and still, and lo, as he looks, on the belfry's height a glimmer, and then a gleam of light. He springs to the saddle, at the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes till full on his sight a second lamp in the belfry burns. A hurry of hoofs in a village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath from the pebbles in passing a spark, struck out by a steed flying fearless and fleet, that was all. And yet through the gloom and the light, the fate of a nation was riding that night. The spark struck out by that steed in his flight, kindled in the land into flame with its heat. He has left the village and mounted the steep, and beneath him tranquil and broad and deep is the mystic, meeting the ocean tides. And under the alders that skirt its edge, now soft on the sand, now loud on the ledge, is heard the tramp of his steed as he rides. It was 12 by the village clock when he crossed the bridge into Medford town. He heard the crowing of the cock and the barking of the farmer's dog, and felt the damp of the river fog that rises after the sun goes down. It was 1 by the village clock when he galloped into Lexington. He saw the gilded weathercock swim in the moonlight as he passed, and the meeting-house windows, black and bare, gaze at him with a spectral glare, as if they already stood aghast at the bloody work they would look upon. It was 2 by the village clock when he came to the bridge in Concord town. He heard the bleating of the flock and the twitter of the birds among the trees, and felt the breath of the morning breeze blowing over the meadow brown. And one was safe and asleep in his bed, who at the bridge would be first to fall, who that day would be lying dead, pierced by a British musket ball. You know the rest in the books you have read, how the British regulars fired and fled, how the farmers gave them ball for ball from behind each fence and farmyard wall, chasing the redcoats down the lane, then crossing the fields to emerge again under the trees at the turn of the road, and only pausing to fire and load. So through the night rode Paul Revere, and so through the night went his cry of alarm to every Middlesex village and farm, a cry of defiance and not of fear. A voice in the darkness, a knock at the door, and a word that shall echo forevermore. For born on the night wind of the past, through all our history to the last, in the hour of darkness and peril and need, the people will waken and listen to hear the hurrying hoofbeats of that steed and the midnight message of Paul Revere.
All right, so now you kind of have a little grasp of the history behind it. That was how the Revolutionary War began, folks. That was it. The story was simplified for the poem, but I think Longfellow did a great job with it, and I think it's something we should all be a little more aware of, in the scope of history. And as we talk about what great patriots we had back in that day, we need to hearken to be a little more like that today. And in that vein, it's tax day. The toll is due. Now, we can have an hour-long discussion about whether or not we pay too much. I think most of us feel like we do pay too much in taxes. And to that point, our federal government collected a record $736.274 billion in individual income taxes through the first 6 months of fiscal year 2018. That's according to the Treasury statement released a couple of days ago. Yeah. That was $24.473 billion more than the Treasury collected in the first 6 months of the last fiscal year. I know. Almost $24.5 billion more So while the federal government was collecting record individual income taxes in the first half of this fiscal year, both payroll taxes and corporate income taxes declined compared to last year. The October through March of fiscal year 2018, the federal government collected approximately $560.4 billion in Social Security and other payroll taxes, and that was $3.2 million less than the constant from the previous year. I know that's not a big number in the big picture, but it is still less. In October through March of fiscal year 2018, the federal government also collected approximately $78.607 billion in corporation income taxes, and that was $24 billion less than the same constant for last year. So with the $24 billion cut in corporation income tax revenues between last fiscal year and this fiscal year, the federal government's overall tax haul in the first 6 months of the fiscal year declined compared to last year, even while individual income tax payments were increasing. Now, this is a bad picture, but we hope to fix this next year with the tax reform being enacted. In the first 6 months of fiscal year 2017, the Treasury collected, that's a million billion, 1.50 trillion in total taxes for the first 6 months, compared to 1.497 trillion of fiscal year 2018 first 6 months. So it's not a huge difference. We're talking about, while taking in those 1.497 trillion in taxes, the government spent, here's the problem, $2.0967 trillion, thus running a $599.7 billion deficit in the first 6 months of this fiscal year. And that is $60 billion more than last year. So we see where the problem is, okay? We know what the problem is. We need government to get under control. We need smaller government, first of all. We need more concentrated government on the functions that they're supposed to be doing instead of all the feel-good stuff that they want to be doing. They can't do the job that's assigned to them by the Constitution correctly, but they want to continue to have more and more power to do other jobs. And you know what? It's our fault because we let them get away with it. We keep sending the same idiots back there year after year after year. Term limits are a great idea. They really are. Can't tell you enough how much I'd like to see some term limits on Washington, D.C. So anyway, with now record personal income tax, individual income taxes, for Americans in 2018 to what we call Tax Relief Day. For 2018, Americans will have to have worked nearly 4 months into the year, April 19th, in order to have earned enough money to pay the total tax bill to fund the government. So over a quarter of your year, over a quarter a year, almost a third, to fund the federal government. And that equals to $5.19 trillion, in case you're wondering, according to the Tax Foundation, which is approximately 30% of the nation's entire income. And it all goes to pay for government. Now, the Tax Foundation noted that if it factors in the budget deficit which represents future taxes owed and is expected to hit $806 billion in 2018, Tax Freedom Day would slide to May the 6th. So now you're talking over a third of the year. It's disgusting. Americans will pay $3.1 trillion in federal taxes and $1.8 trillion in state and local taxes in 2018, according to the Tax Foundation. The total of $5.19 trillion is more than Americans spend on food, clothing, and housing combined. Let that sink in. Just let it sink in. Now, excuse me. All right, so enough of the depressing stuff. Let's move on to some less depressing stuff, shall we? The long-anticipated Department of Justice Inspector General report on former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe was released finally. And it documents that on at least 4 occasions, McCabe knowingly provided false information and lacked candor when speaking with internal FBI investigators and with then FBI Director James Comey. In 3 other instances when McCabe made false statements, he was under oath. That sounds like criminal charges to me. The conclusion of the OIG report states, as detailed in this report, the OIG found that then Deputy Director Andrew McCabe lacked candor, including under oath, on multiple occasions in connection with describing his role in connection with a disclosure to the Wall Street Journal, and that his conduct violated FBI offense codes 2.5 and 2.6. The OIG also concluded that McCabe's disclosure of the existence of an ongoing investigation in the matter described in this report violated the FBI and the department's media policy and constituted misconduct. The OIG is issuing this report to the FBI for such action that it deems to be appropriate. McCabe's less than truthful statements were made in relation to leaked information to the Wall Street Journal for an article published on October 30th, 2016. The OIG confirmed that McCabe had authorized FBI Special Counsel and the Assistant Director for Public Affairs to speak with Wall Street Journal reporter Devlin Barrett about the Bureau's investigation of the Clinton Foundation. McCabe, according to the report, was trying to rebut a narrative that questioned his impartiality in overseeing FBI investigations involving former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. In particular, McCabe wanted to rebut the idea that he had stopped the Clinton Foundation investigation due to Department of Justice pressure. Now, the report defines offense code 2.5, lack of candor, no oath, as knowingly providing false information when making a verbal or written statement not under oath to a supervisor, another Bureau employee in an authoritative position, or another governmental agency when the employee is questioned about his conduct or the conduct of another person. Basically, 2.6, offense code 2.6 of the FBI is lack of candor under oath. So it's basically the same thing, but you're under oath. So I guess specifically the OIG stated that they found in a conversation with then Director Comey shortly after the Wall Street Journal article was published that McCabe lacked candor when he told Comey or made statements that led Comey to believe that McCabe had not authorized the disclosure and did not know who did. This conduct violated FBI offense code 2.5. They also found that on May 19th of 2017, when questioned under oath by FBI agents from INSD, that'd be the FBI Inspector Division. McCabe lacked candor when he told the agents that he had not authorized the disclosure. Basically, what they're saying is he lied, people. McCabe lied. And he did it under oath. They further found that on July 28th of 17, when questioned under oath by the OIG in a recorded interview, McCabe lacked candor when he stated, A, that he was not aware of special counsel having been authorized to speak to reporters around October 30th, and B, that because he was not in Washington, D.C. on October 27th and 28th, he was unable to say where special counsel was or what she was doing at that time. This conduct violated FBI Code 2.6. Also, on that July 28, 17, when questioned under oath by the OIG, that's the same notes. Seymour, you copied and pasted the same thing again, idiot. No Steakums this week. So anyway, the OIG further found that McCabe allowed the leak to the Wall Street Journal, not because it was in the public interest, but it was in a manner designed to advance his personal interest at the expense of department leadership. We therefore concluded that McCabe's disclosure of the existence of an ongoing investigation in this matter violated the FBI's and the department's media policy and constituted misconduct, stated the OIG. Now, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but I want you to keep this fresh on your mind because when we come back, there's a new article out just this afternoon with McCabe firing back against Comey. So the whole house of cards is starting to come down. We're going to get into it. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a few.
Oh, but ain't that America for you and me? Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me, ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And like I told you, we're going to dive into this Comey-McCabe thing a little more. This report was just out this afternoon in the Washington Examiner. And, I'm going to give, they got the hit on this because here it comes. So McCabe, who was fired as FBI deputy director last month, hit back at FBI Director James Comey, saying that Comey was not telling the truth in an interview earlier last week. Comey has relied on the accuracy and the soundness of the Office of the Inspector General's conclusions on their report on Mr. McCabe. In fact, the report fails to adequately address the evidence, including sworn testimony and documents, that prove that Mr. McCabe advised Director Comey repeatedly that he was working with the Wall Street Journal on the stories in question prior to publication. This is according to McCabe's counsel, Michael Bromwich. In the appearance on ABC's The View earlier, Comey said he ordered the probe that eventually led to McCabe's firing and believes McCabe lied about his conversations with the media. Okay, no doubt about that. Okay, we know that happened. The McCabe case illustrates what an organization is committed to the truth looks like. This is Comey talking now. I ordered that investigation. Oh, yeah, you can tell it's Comey. We investigate and hold people accountable. I still believe Andrew McCabe is a good person, but the Inspector General found that he lied, and there are severe consequences in the Justice Department for lying, as there should be throughout the government. Okay, so now we've got Comey using the OIG report to throw McCabe under the bus, and McCabe is firing back saying, whoa, 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 I kept him in the loop the whole way along. He knew everything. This is going to get good, folks. This is going to get good. So last week's Inspector General report again found that McCabe lacked candor on those 4 occasions. Neither Mr. Comey nor the OIG is infallible, and in this case, neither of them has it right, said McCabe's lawyer. The 39-page IG report was delivered to select congressional committee members last week, roughly a month after Attorney General Jeff Sessions fired McCabe 26 hours before his planned retirement. They concluded that McCabe lacked the candor, yada, yada, yada. We've covered that already. The investigation began when the FBI's Inspector Division sought to determine if the information published in an October 2016 article in the Wall Street Journal about the FBI's handling of Hillary Clinton's email probe was due to an unauthorized leak. And if so, who was the source of the leak? Which we now know was McCabe. When asked on 4 separate occasions who provided the information, McCabe said he did not authorize the disclosure to the reporter, which was not true, according to the investigators. The report also said that McCabe misled Comey about what he authorized the FBI aides to tell the reporter. So, again, now we've got McCabe saying, okay, I'm going down. You're going down with me, Comey, because you were in it. I was keeping you in the loop all along. Now, how does McCabe prove this? I don't know. But it certainly doesn't look good when 2 guys who were actually on the same side of things. And now think about this, okay? These are 2 guys that didn't. There's no secret. Neither one of them wanted Trump in office. Okay, I'm not saying they colluded to stop him using the power of the FBI. Could that have happened? Who knows? Investigations need to occur. But now these 2 guys that both didn't want Trump, that have both been fired by the Trump administration, basically, Sessions firing McCabe and Trump firing Comey, the 2 top dogs at the FBI gone, and they're starting to point the fingers at each other now. That should tell you something right there. So anyway, we got that. Let me back out of that and get back to my notes. That I just had to add that in tonight because it was just too good not to. So anyway, let's change gears a little bit. The Council on American Islamic Relations. We've talked about them before. They're a fine group of people, right? Yeah. Yeah. So last Thursday, CARE thanked Senator Cory Booker for confronting Secretary of State nominee Mike Pompeo on his views of Islam. But in their typical manner of nitpicking to suit their agenda, CARE was silent on another issue that Booker brought up, his stance on homosexuality. See, under Booker's questioning in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Pompeo stood fast on his opposition to same-sex marriage, but declined to answer directly when asked whether he believes, quote-unquote, is gay sex a perversion. He did say, however, that, quote, my respect for every individual, regardless of their sexual orientation, is the same. As it should be. Earlier, Booker had challenged Pompeo on his views and statements on Islam, and specifically his associations with 2 Americans reviled by CARE and others for their views on Islam, Center for Security Policy President Frank Gaffney and ACT American Chairman Bridget Gabriel. CARE, which calls itself the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy group, has long campaigned against a group of critics, including scholars and activists, who focus on radical Islam. In recent weeks, it has been lobbying hard for the Senate to reject President Trump's nominee for Secretary of State. So CARE took it upon themselves to thank Cory Booker and several other Democratic senators for tackling Pompeo on the Islam issue. They said, quote, we want to thank those senators who cared enough about our nation's traditions of religious inclusion and constitutional protections to call Mr. Pompeo out on his past Islamophobic statements and associations, said the group's government affairs director, Robert McCaw. Now, CARE is also calling on all those who quote unquote, value America's traditions of religious inclusion and respect for diversity to contact members of the U.S. Senate to oppose the confirmation of Mike Pompeo as Secretary of State. Kerr did not, however, mention the exchange with Booker relating to Pompeo's stance on homosexuality. I'm sure Kerr would not want to answer those questions. Their stance in the past on LGBT issues has been called into question in several different circumstances. So, you have to take Kerr with a grain of salt. They only want what's good for them and screw everybody else because that's how they are. So, in another interview, the Kerr relations guy, McCaw, and communications director Ibrahim Hooper provide, Kerr's position on two issues raised by Booker at Thursday's nomination hearing. Does Kerr support or oppose same-sex marriage? And does Kerr regard gay sex as a perversion? Now, queries sent to McCaw and Ibrahim Hooper brought no response. Surprising, right? Right? I mean, a group called Americans for Peace and Tolerance has drawn attention to a lengthy 2009 essay in which the head of Kerr's Florida chapter, Hassan Shibli, and he's a piece of work, folks. Let me tell you, if you've never dealt with Hassan Shibli before, he is a piece of work, where he called homosexuality, and this is his quote, a quick way to earn God's wrath. Okay. That's his words. In studying all of the Abrahamic faiths, it is clear without a doubt that homosexuality, like premarital sex, is considered a terrible sin. In fact, all Abrahamic faiths prohibit gay intercourse, even between, married men, and it prohibits, let's just not go there. Okay, we can find, what's the word I'm looking at? It prohibits sodomy even between a husband and a wife. There, covered that, didn't I, Rick? That's pretty good. We can say that on the radio.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I'm good. See, the faiths also prohibit all types of homosexual activity, not to mention that they clearly do not authorize marriage based upon such a sin. All Abrahamic faiths clearly and unequivocally prohibit homosexuality, premarital sex, and homosexual marriage. So basically what Kerr's, at least their Florida chapter leader, Hassan Shibli, is saying that he will not support any type of support, or he will not authorize or allow any type of support for LGBT issues. Middle East Forum Director Greg Roman, in a 2016 article, contrasted Shibley's comments with his declaration in the immediate aftermath of the terrorist attack on an LGBT nightclub in Orlando, of overwhelming love and support and unity. Roman gave other examples, citing Muslim leaders closely associated with Kerr, variously calling homosexuality an evil inclination and a repugnant, shameless sin and a disease of this American society. He concluded his article by saying Kerr has done nothing to stand up for the rights of LGBT Americans or promote more tolerant Muslim American attitudes toward sexual orientation, while giving radical Islamist preachers on whom it depends for support a platform for anti-gay incitement. like that of traditional Christianity, Islamic doctrine frowns on homosexuality. In fact, countries where the death penalty for homosexuality is applied or codified in law are all Islamic, as are a majority of the countries where same-sex sexual acts are illegal but carry lesser penalties. So according to the International Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Trans, and Intersex Association, that'd be the ILGA for short, because everybody loves an acronym, the death penalty for same-sex sexual acts is applied in Iran, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Yemen, and as well as in northern states of Nigeria, parts of Somalia, areas of Syria and Iraq controlled by Islamic State. In 5 other countries, Afghanistan, Mauritania, Pakistan, Qatar, and UAE, the death penalty for same-sex sexual acts is codified in law, but not implemented for same-sex behavior specifically, ILGA says. A 6th country, Brunei, has yet to implement some phases of a Sharia-based legal code that includes punishments such as stoning to death. Charming. Of the 57 members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the OIC, the bloc of 57 mostly Muslim majority countries, same-sex acts are prohibited in the law in 36 countries, with punishments ranging in severity but not including the death penalty. So, just throwing them off a building, it's all good. That's just a lesser punishment. It doesn't matter. They're just homosexuals. They don't really have rights. They're not real people, right? I mean, the reasoning is the same, no matter how CARE slices it. We heard it from the Nazis with the Jews. They were talking about how they were mongrels and not real people and not deserving to be breathing the same air. It's the same with CARE. The only difference is that CARE doesn't have the guts to say it out loud. So anyway, enough of that. Moving on. The Trump administration said Monday that California Governor Jerry Brown has now rejected the terms of the National Guard's initial deployment to the Mexican border. But a state official said that nothing has been decided.
Actually,
the governor...
Hang on. They just announced that he's deploying, so I just saw that.
Oh, good. We got an update. Look at that. See, this is why he runs the flagship program, folks. So we are going to deploy California troops now, apparently. They've come to an agreement on what the duties will be. And Rick has just killed the last 5 minutes of what would be the show, but we're going to press on. I've got more stuff, so it's okay.
My bad.
You come in with the update at the end, Chief.
Well, I didn't want it. People are going to be like, "Oh my God, he's giving out old information. Does the dude not keep up with anything?" And I didn't want that to happen. So,
well, people got to realize that when you do it, when you write a show, it's not just something you sit down and do 10 minutes before you go on the air.
Wait, it's not?
Well, okay, it's not something I do 10 minutes before I go on the air. So anyway, I got something else here, and if we run out of stuff to talk about, and we still have time, we'll play some music or something. I don't know. I mean, we'll figure it out. It's okay. Consumers nationwide could pay more for what they buy online as South Dakota gets its way before the United States Supreme Court in a case to be argued that started yesterday. The justices will decide whether to overturn 50 years' worth of rulings that forbid states from imposing sales taxes on whatever their residents buy from out-of-state retailers. Ending the ban could bring billions of dollars in new revenue to the states. President Donald Trump gave the issue renewed visibility when he tweeted in early April that Amazon pays little or no taxes to state or local governments. But that wasn't correct. The company has also collected sales tax since April 1st, 2017, on sales to customers in the states that have sales taxes, even though it is not legally required to do it. So here's a case where the president is tweeting out of his phone. I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to go there. Okay, we know how he does, okay? He'll say things that aren't necessarily true just to draw attention to them. I don't like the tactic. I think there are better ways to go about it, but he is who he is, and he's not going to change for any of us, so let's just forget about that. So, by contrast, the online store at Trump.com, the official website of the Trump Organization, collects sales taxes only for purchases made by customers in Florida, Louisiana, and Virginia. I guess because those states require it. So anyway, in 1967, a very fine year too, if I may say so, the Supreme Court ruled that states could not force mail-order catalog companies to collect sales taxes unless a buyer lived in a state where the company had a physical presence, a retail store, a headquarters, or a distribution center, for example. The court reasoned that the volume of mail-order business was minor compared to in-store sales, and that catalog companies would face too big a burden in having to figure out the correct sales tax given widely different rates around the company. I think that's supposed to be country. So, but South Dakota concluded in 2016 that the explosion in online sales changed the market drastically, so it passed a law requiring all but the smallest retailers, including internet companies, to collect taxes on the sales they make in the state, even if they had no physical presence there. Lower courts blocked the law, relying on the Supreme Court precedents, and the justices hear the state's appeal yesterday. A total of 35 other states have weighed in on South Dakota's side. Look, there's no doubt about it, folks. States all over this country are clamoring for more money, and they're going to do whatever they can do to get their hands on it. And that means if they have to throw us face down on the ground and use the jaws of life to pry our wallets from our carcasses, they're going to do it. They're going to find a way, and they're going to do it. Online companies are far more present in the South Dakota economy than most of the state's physically present retail businesses, says Eric Citron, a Washington lawyer representing the state. The internet now makes it possible for out-of-state sellers to reach consumers with engaging, interactive virtual storefronts in our homes or on our smartphones at any hour of any day. Well, he's not lying about that. As for the burden of dealing with thousands of tax rates across the country, the state says software programs now make it possible for a retailer to instantly compute the correct sales tax simply by entering a buyer's zip code. Times have changed, Citron said, and the court's earlier reasoning no longer applies. Amazon.com did not begin selling books out of Jeff Bezos' garage until July 1995, and Bezos himself described Amazon as a pipsqueak in comparison to Barnes & Noble at that time. But the internet companies that sued to block the law, Wayfair, Overstock, and Newegg, say in their Supreme Court filings that state sales tax systems remain inordinately complex and burdensome during the internet era, just as they were before it began. The number of local tax jurisdictions has doubled to 12,000 the companies say, and local laws vary widely on what goods are subject to sales taxes. During back-to-school tax holidays, for example, some states exempt clothing, but others don't. Some include shoes and some don't. And the definition of what qualifies as school supplies varies widely from state to state. This is an excellent argument. I did not think about that, but yeah, it's an excellent argument. Forcing internet retailers to pay sales taxes everywhere would stifle competition and make it much harder for startups to get into the market, the companies say. In a friend of court brief, eBay says taxing internet sales would place crushing burdens on small online businesses, causing many to curtail operations and damaging the nation's economy. So, folks, that's it. So it's up to the Supreme Court now. I guess we're going to find out sooner or later what they think. I appreciate you listening. We got to get the heck out of here. We're running over. Rick, you should have cut me off 2 minutes ago, buddy, but I took it. Thanks for being here, folks. We'll see you next week.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something